Arizona Republican Jeff Flake is under the delusion that people like him, so he's flirting with the presidential run. Take a look at him playing footsie with the media over this.
Senator, will you run for president?
Next question. As you know, I'm retiring from the Senate at the end of this year. It has not been my plans to run for president, but I've not ruled it out.
You don't come to New Hampshire by surprise, right? There's obviously a statement you make by coming to New Hampshire if you're considering a run for the White House. You know you're going to get tons of attention up here, but you're also going to get national attention. And we saw that today. Not only a full New Hampshire press corps up here, but tons of people out of Boston and a lot of political reporters out of Washington all coming up here. So it's sending a signal that, hey, take me seriously.
Thank you so much for coming.
We're still in that preseason right now, but remember, there are a lot of Democrats and Republicans up here running for re-election and running for office in the midterm elections. That gives Democrats and even some Republicans who are thinking about running for the White House a great opportunity to come up here, make some early friends, and then right after the November midterm elections are over, the real game begins.
I hope you will run, sir.
Thanks for your question. Right now, I can say this is the president's party. Republican primary voters in Arizona and elsewhere are firmly with the president by large majorities. But I do think that will change. As that changes, we'll see. But I do hope that a lot of qualified candidates out there, a lot of governors and some of my colleagues who do a great job on the stump to remind Republicans what it means to be a conservative again.
Hi, Senator. Wonderful to hear you speak today.
Hey, great.
Would you mind signing my egg?
Sure.
Thank you.
He's in New Hampshire on a cold March day, and he's from Arizona. So we've kind of figured out that he's up here on a presidential campaign, still exploring, has to raise a lot of money and get a lot of support. But I kind of interpret this as the early stages of a presidential campaign.
Like I said, all the energy in the Democratic Party being on the far left right now, that may change, but if it doesn't, we have that and we have President Trump running as a Republican. There is a huge swath of voters in the middle looking for something else.
Yeah, no, there's not. You have no idea what you're talking about because you're not actually looking at the polls. So when you look at the polls, the American people are clear. They're solidly populist left. So how do I know that? You name the issue, I'll tell you the number. Medicare for all, 60% of the American people want that. Free college, 58% of the American people want that. Raise taxes on the rich, 58% of the American people want that. Legalize marijuana, 61% of the American people want that. You go down the list, you look at the numbers, the American people are left-wing on economics and libertarian on social issues. So it's not hard to figure this out. You look at any polls, they'll reflect basically the same thing. So that's why Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in America by a mile and a half, is because he actually believes in and fights for those same policy positions that coincide with the beliefs of the American people. Now, he categorizes that as far left. Oh, the energy in the Democratic Party is far left. Well, I got news for you. What you view as the far left, Jeff Cornflakes, is actually the middle of the country. That's centrism among regular people. That's moderation, because it's right smack dab in the middle of what people want. Now, Donald Trump, he ran on an economically populist platform, but he stabbed all the regular people in the back, and he's got Goldman Sachs throughout his administration, and his tax bill is amazing for the rich. 83% of the benefits go to the top 1%. He's started countless wars. The American people are not in favor of war when you look at the polls. So you have a fake populist on the right, a real populist on the left, and what Jeff Flake is saying is, there's a lot of American people who want something in the middle. No, because Jeff Flake represents the middle of the spectrum in D.C. And that Washington, D.C. spectrum is fully corporatist and pretty far right. So he loves to portray himself as anti-Trump. I'm an anti-Trump hero. Nothing could be further from the truth. Take a look at this. This is from 538, where they track how often somebody votes with Donald Trump. Jeff Flake has voted with Donald Trump 85.9% of the time. So you're not anti-Trump. What you do is you make anti-Trump noises while you agree with him on almost his entire agenda. And by the way, on some of the issues where he disagrees with Donald Trump, he's worse than Donald Trump. Because every now and then Trump will throw like a, at least on the face of it, a populist economic policy at you, like he pulled out a TPP. Now he's subsequently, basically slipped in provisions of the TPP into the renegotiation of NAFTA. So that doesn't tell the whole story to just say Trump killed TPP. But Jeff Flake is for TPP. So you see what I mean? He agrees with Trump 85.9% of the time. And some of the time when he disagrees with Trump, it's actually because he's worse than Trump. So, but this is, and here's the main point, guys. This is what Washington, D.C. loves. They love guys like Jeff Flake because he's Mick resistance. He's what, idiots like Keith Olbermann would say is a respectable Republican. Yes. See, what you have to do is bomb innocent women and children in the Middle East and spy on everybody in a warrantless, unconstitutional way with the NSA and deregulate Wall Street, which speeds up the next crash, and screw over workers and do a pro-corporate healthcare policy. What you need to do is all those same terrible policies with a smile on your face. If you have a smile on your face and you're polite and you talk in a very gentlemanly way with a cheesy car salesman smile, if you do all that, oh, they love you. You're the total package. Because really, in Washington, D.C., it's all about the veneer. It's all about the kabuki theater. It's all about the noises you make and how you portray yourself. And if you're polite and you talk in a very gentlemanly way, I mean, look at this fucking guy. He looks like he belongs in a J. Crew fucking catalog. He's a clown. He's what you would think of as a smarmy, narcissistic politician. That's what he is. So he's the old school, fake, proper guy who's polite and who belongs in an upper class room. And he's fully elitist while agreeing with Trump on almost everything policy-wise. And that ain't going to cut it, man, because that's actually the worst of all worlds, if you think about it. Because for all of Donald Trump's flaws, his policies, forget it. Almost all of them are terrible, okay? But there's something about him that people liked that was the shoot from the hip, raw, unfiltered angle of him. Now, again, ultimately he's a buffoon and he's hurting the American people and the country. So that wears out its welcome after a while. Doesn't matter how real you feel. If you're doing terrible policies, that'll catch up to you. But that element of him was something people liked. Like, oh shit, he's shooting from the hip. He has no filter. He can say anything. They like that. Jeff Flake is all the shitty policies, none of the raw, he looks like he's a straight shooter upsides. So he's the worst of all worlds, but Washington, D.C. loves him because he's a Republican. So that allows the corporate media and the people in Washington to say, we like some Republicans, we like Jeff Flake, while it's continuity on the inside and status quo, business as usual on the inside. That's Jeff Flake. Vote with Trump almost all the fucking time, but pretend like you're respectable in the process. And that's why I despise him with a burning passion. Yes, there's a reason he's in New Hampshire. He wants to run for president. You don't just run. He's from Arizona. You don't just randomly go to New Hampshire for, one of these breakfast politics things. If you're not heavily considering running for president, if not already, have made the decision. He said, I haven't ruled it out. He really wants to do it. And what's hilarious about this is Flake has spent too much time in Washington, D.C., where he gets nothing but praise all day long. Because again, Washington, D.C., corporate media, they love a guy like Jeff Flake. They love a guy like Jeff Flake. It allows them to feel like they're being bipartisan and moderate as they really are in favor of the status quo and American empire and our shitty corporatism. So he gets nothing but love in D.C., so he's puffed his own head up thinking he's got a chance. If he runs against Trump, oh my God, it'll be a historic bloodbath. I think I want to see it just to laugh. I mean, I despise Trump and I despise Flake, but it'll be hilarious to see Jeff Flake get curb stomped.